There is not. It can be tabled. Question number 8. Dr Kennedy Graham.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The question is to the Prime Minister. Does he stand by all his statements?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, yes, in the context in which they were made.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question. Dr Kennedy Graham.
Given that he said yesterday, in the context of question time, that, quote, if there was substantial evidence of civilian deaths, we are interested in that. And given former Defence Minister Wayne Mapp's comments that, quote, it was also possible there were other casualties, in particular the death of a 3-year-old girl, how can he possibly conclude that an inquiry into the actions by all New Zealand and other coalition troops is not required?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, I do stand by the statement. And as I've stated, the reason why we have not initiated an inquiry is because of the Chief of Defence Force, following his statutory obligations, has investigated the claims of war crimes and misconduct made in a recently published book and found that those claims have not been substantiated, including the fact that the locations talked about in the book are locations where New Zealand troops did not go.
Supplementary question. Dr Kennedy Graham.
Given that the basis of evidence that the Prime Minister just cites comes from the party that would actually be itself investigated, and given that the Prime Minister of 2017 disagrees with the Minister of Defence of 2010, who has recently said, quote, as a nation, we owe it to ourselves to find out, is that not a sufficient case for an inquiry?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, no, I understand the former Minister of Defence, who's made these comments as a private citizen, based them on a documentary aired a number of years after the incidents, a documentary put together by one of the authors of the book. So he watched the documentary and then made commentary based on that, which was then republished in the book and published in the media. So it doesn't amount to any new analysis or any new information, but I can assure the member that all the evidence I've seen demonstrates that New Zealand troops at all times acted consistent with their rules of engagement and the level of professionalism and care that we would expect them to operate to, even in circumstances where there is real pressure and real danger.
Supplementary question. Dr Kennedy Graham.
Given that the basis of evidence that the Prime Minister continues to cite in the last question, in the last answer, represents the same party that would itself be under investigation, how is this not a case where an inquiry is justified under the Inquiries Act 2013 on a matter of public importance, where the members of the inquiry must act, quote, independently, impartially and fairly?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, really for two reasons. First is that these inquiries were made within days of the event by the coalition forces, including and the Afghan government and police at the time, who were independent and acting on assertions that there may have been, or that there were civilian casualties. The facts as adduced then have been consistent right through. Nothing has actually altered. And the Chief of Defence Force has legal obligations to investigate these things. It's not a matter of whether we think he should. He has to, under our law. And I am persuaded by the professionalism of the Chief of Defence Force, and made it clear that if there was any sense that the Defence Forces were misleading the civilian government that controls them, that would be a very serious matter, and I don't believe there's any grounds to believe the Defence Force have acted in a misleading way.
Question number 9. Grant Robertson.
Thank you, Mr.